Alright, so here I go. So everybody's been wanting me to tell my story, to tell this, to tell whatever, and I keep thinking about it, and I'm at the gym, and I'm struggling with a little bit of stupid shit from whenever, but so I figured I'd stop somewhere and maybe just start talking. And I had so much in my head to say, the original. We got married when I was 19. He was 21. We were kids. We did the normal, not normal drinking and fighting and whatever. But all I ever really wanted was to be a wife and mother. And I got that. I got pregnant with Josh. And we got married in September. I got pregnant in January, around that time. And I was more than ecstatic. All I ever wanted was to have a baby and to be a mom and to be pregnant and to have that in my life. At 19. That was just my goal. So I was pregnant. I had what I wanted. We were living in a nice house. I couldn't have asked for really anything else. Except that we were 19 and 21. So things were crazy, back and forth, fighting, drinking. And no, I did not drink while I was pregnant. But I was dealing with a husband who was drinking all the time and working on the road and drinking and working on the road. We had a pretty decent argument when I was like 8 months pregnant and, whatever, and I left. And then I would come back. And then I would leave. And then I would come back. And then I had Josh. And I had finally had what I had always wanted. I had a baby. And he was my life. And I loved him. And he was with me constantly. And we hung out all the time, and Duck worked on the road, so he was never really around. So it was just me and Josh. Me and Josh, me and Josh, me and Josh, and Schultz, which was my Rottweiler. Duck would come home on the weekends somewhat, and stuff would happen, and Josh was 6 weeks old, and we had a party at our house, and I had taken him to the sitter, and it got crazy. Duck got in a fight, a tire iron. That was one of the crazy things that happened in there. So I left again, I think. And then I came back. And then I left again. And I came back. And I sit down and I think now, why did I leave? Why did I come back? And I realized because when I would leave, I would get all the attention in the world that I wanted from him. He would fight and tell me how much he loved me, and he would fight and tell me how much he loved me and wanted me back, and I'd come back and it was like a honeymoon state again. And we would be awesome and whatever. And then just like maybe 2-3 weeks, shit would start happening again. Fast forward, that all happened, whichever, blah, blah, blah. We moved into his family's farmhouse, which was a dump. But I loved it. It was our home, and we lived in his back by his parents, and everything was good. We would fight, we would make up, we would fight, we would make up. Then I got pregnant again, and this time I did it because I wanted another baby, and I had it set up, and he was excited, and we were excited we were gonna have another baby. And me and Josh were so close. He was a mama's boy. He was really, really a mama's boy. Fast forward a little bit, and on comes Jenna, my little girl that I wanted. And before I even knew I was pregnant or gonna have a little girl, I had little dresses, and I had little headbands, and I had little everything you could possibly want for a little girl. And here she came, June 23rd, 1995 at 11:35 p.m. She was breech, would not flip. She was being very stubborn, which I still to this day think that she just didn't feel like it. She just didn't want to have to come out that way. So along comes Jenna. And again, we had the normal dysfunctional craziness that two young kids would have with two kids. And we would fight and we would drink. We would fight and we would drink. We had picnics, family picnics, and the kids all played and everybody would drink, and I would leave and I would come back, and I would leave and I would come back. And like I said, I always figured it out. It was because when I would leave, I love attention. Like, I needed him to give me attention, and when I wasn't getting it enough that I thought, because he worked on the road and was not ever there, and if I didn't feel I was getting enough attention, I would leave. Leave, come back. Leave, come back. Leave, come back. So finally one time I left, and I came back, and I swore that I would never leave again. I was not going to leave again just because I wanted attention. I was going to stick this out. And the kids were probably about 9 and, well, 9, 5, 9, whatever. And I didn't leave anymore. We got along, we talked, we did whatever, we fought, we drank, we fought, we drank. Until right around the time Jenna was around 9 years old. And there was a football game, and they won, and Josh played, and Jenna was the cheerleader, and everything was great. We went to our friend's house, everybody was drinking, we were celebrating them winning this football game. I can't remember if it was the Super Bowl or playoffs or whatever, and everyone was giving Duck alcohol, as much alcohol as he could have. You know, he was a coach, he did awesome, the kids did awesome. And we're driving down the road, and for whatever reason, he was angry with me, or I had done something, and he punched me in the face 3 times with Jenna in the back of the car. And immediately started to cry, immediately didn't know why he had done it, immediately tried doing all this stuff, and I was floored. Like, I could not believe that had happened. I didn't know what, mind you, we fought before. I physically fought him. He physically would sometimes fight me, but most of the time it was me, unless I pushed too far, and then he would grab a hold of me, push me up against the wall. Never really hit me. Got physical, but never really hit me. Except for this time, it was just really not fighting about anything important, and he really kind of messed up the side of my face. Doesn't remember it because, you know, it was the alcohol and this was whatever, but I left again. This time I took my kids and I moved into my own apartment, and I stayed there with him begging and pleading and promising and begging and pleading and promising, and me saying no, we needed counseling, no, we needed counseling, to finally giving in and letting him move in with us again. Which was like, again, a honeymoon. It was great. We didn't fight. We got along. It was love and family and everything back again. And then we started to drink again, and me included. We would go out on the weekends. Sometimes Josh would babysit. Sometimes I would have my sister-in-law babysit, or someone come over, and we would come home and we would fight. And then we would apologize next day to the kids. And then we would promise it wouldn't happen again, and then it would happen again. We would go out just to play poker or just to drink a couple and come home, and we would fight. And we would fight. And we wouldn't come home till really late. And if I could change it, of course I would, because when I look back, it was just me being, I look at it as me being selfish, you know, but I thought I was making sure they were taken care of and thought that they were okay and everything was good, and then we would come home and we would fight. Mutually fight. I was just as bad. And then in 2004, May 3rd, one of the worst things happened to me in my life. And my brother was killed in the war. And I spiraled out of control. I completely isolated myself. I completely was just woe is me. It was all about Kelly, and my kids would be okay, but I just wasn't. I didn't know how to deal with it. I had never really had anything like that happen. And Duck completely pulled away from me, because I think now looking back that he just didn't know how to deal with me, because I was completely just lost and falling apart, and I wanted to drink, and I did, and I drank wine, and I drank everything I could possibly to numb this pain. And he pulled away more and was going out by himself more, and the fights started more, and we got more reckless and just going out to the bar together, and DUIs were happening, and this was happening, and my kids, I never even realized how this was affecting them, because as I saw it, I was making sure that they were fine and that they would be fine. But I needed to go out. I needed to numb this grief that was overwhelming me, that I could not handle. And for 2-3 years, oh gosh, longer than that, I was in a depression. I was just not dealing with life, and Duck was not dealing with me. So Josh hits about 14 years old, and he's running with his cousins, his older cousins, and to me, he's fine. They're watching him. I'm trusting him in the hands of 18-year-old and 22-year-old, just thinking that, he was fine. He wasn't going to be getting into trouble. I even turned our farmhouse into a place that they could all go, so I knew that he was safe. And they partied down there. And he was in 9th, 10th grade. And I kept the electric on. They would have bonfires. They would drink. And I don't know all what else. And MMA fights and just whatever they would do. And finally that came to a halt because it was just destructive, and I think I woke up a little bit and realized that's just not the way to go. In my mind at the time, I felt it was I knew he was going to do it, so as long as I gave him somewhere safe to go, it was okay, even though it wasn't. So 2008 or 7, I don't know which one. There was a dedication for my brother, and I wanted Duck to come, but he doesn't like to drive, and it was in Virginia Beach, and he decided not to come. So me and the kids went to the dedication, which was just like a funeral every single time. And he stayed back and decided to go camping with my brother-in-law, cousin, or nephews and whatever, and I couldn't find him. I couldn't get a hold of him. I couldn't because where they were, there was no cell service. So when I got home,